CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
RCMP in Richmond say tonight that shooting in the parkade of the IKEA store on Tuesday afternoon was targeted, but it was not gang-related. Mounties say the intended victim is known to police. The person was not wounded. Investigators say they determined it was a targeted attack after interviewing witnesses and reviewing the surveillance footage. RCMP say that given the location and the time of the shooting, the total disregard for public safety is appalling. Police are looking for a person of interest who fled the store in a dark green domestic minivan. There's no description, however, of the shooter. A good fence didn't stop a dispute from boiling over between neighbors in Esquimalt. Vic PD called to the 1300 block of Miles Street just after midnight with reports of shots fired. Turns out it wasn't a gun, though. Police say a 30-year-old man had discharged a bear banger when his neighbor wouldn't stop hammering on his door. He didn't stop there, though. Police say the man was being belligerent and wouldn't listen to commands from officers, so they shot him with a non-lethal riot gun. He's now facing a charge of mischief. No word on why the neighbor was pounding on his door. A 57-year-old Saanich man's been arrested in connection with that stabbing on Cook Street yesterday. Victoria Police made the arrest outside the Our Place drop-in centre at about 7 this morning. Saanich Police say two men were fighting over money, possibly the rent, when a knife came out and one of the men was stabbed in the leg. The suspect is facing charges of assault with a weapon. And a Victoria man charged with animal cruelty has been fined and ordered not to own or keep any pets. Douglas Pattison was charged after a dog was turned into the SPCA, badly neglected and near death. The dog, Tiny, a 10-year-old Shih Tzu. Despite round-the-clock treatment, Tiny could not be saved. Pattison pleaded guilty today to a charge of failing to provide necessities for an animal. The judge in the case fined him $250 and has banned him from owning pets for 3 years. Pattison's wife was also charged in the case, but did not appear today in court. Unionized workers from the social services sector gathered in Centennial Square in Victoria today as part of a targeted strike action. Members of the Hospital Employees Union, the BC Government Employees Services Union, CUPE, and the Health Sciences Association are all demanding better wages in a new contract. They say low pay is attracting temporary workers, such as students, who only stay in the jobs long enough to make their way through school.
We're right back to where we were 20 years ago, where it's a revolving door, where young people are not looking at this sector as a career-based employment. They're looking at a stopgap until they get something else, until they finish their education. In the meantime, the people that we care for, that depend on stability and continuity, are suffering because of that.
There are 15,000 unionized workers in the community social services sector in British Columbia, and union representatives say starting wages in that sector are less than they were a decade ago. Essential services were not affected by today's job action. Well, the community is pulling together to support a Victoria woman who is in a fight for her life battling cancer. A big crowd turned out last night for a concert and silent auction to help raise money for Bonnie Pollard, well known in Victoria's fashion and beauty industry. The 42-year-old was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer in June. The cancer has now spread to her lymphatic system. She's been unable to work, and her family needs help.
I'm just so overwhelmed at the support and love. To me, it's the best Christmas gift ever, is to feel everybody's love and support around. But I'm a bucket of tears.
CTV's Astrid Braunschmidt was one of the performers there last night. The event raised more than $7,000 for Bonnie and her family. Well, it may be known as the most wonderful time of the year, but at Canada Post, it is also the very busiest. Today is the busiest day of the busy season. Across the country, more than 76 million packages and pieces of mail will be shipped. That is close to double the normal volume. And Canada Post says it is all thanks to e-commerce, shopping online.
This is a huge shift in our business. I mean, years ago, our volume was basically letter mail and some parcels. It's completely reversed. What we're seeing is more people, because of convenience, are shopping online. Haven't seen a computer yet that can deliver that parcel, but we can, and that's what we do. We deliver to 15 million addresses right across the country from coast to coast to coast every day, and a huge part of our future is parcels and packets.
Canada Post says last year e-commerce was a $21 billion industry in Canada. $600 million was spent on shipping. E-commerce is expected to hit $35 billion in Canada within the next 4 years. A few looming deadlines to send a card across the country. You need to mail it by Monday. To get it to somebody else in BC before Christmas Day, you have until December 18th. And if you are mailing it to an address in your own city, you have until the 19th. The deadline for sending packages by regular mail has already passed, so you'll need to use Express Post or Priority Mail to get those packages to their destination by Christmas. Well, students at the Comox Valley Elementary School have been getting a lesson in helping others this holiday season. For the past several weeks, Puntledge Elementary students have been gathering items for their care packages as part of their Everyone Deserves a Smile campaign. The concept is simple. All you do is put together a care package for someone in need this Christmas. And the students were busy assembling their bags today, one from each student of the school. The packages will be handed out to people in the Comox Valley all the way to Nanaimo and Victoria.
The whole mission was that each student in the school would make a bag and an actual care package for somebody in the valley and then in Victoria. What's happened is because donations have come in and the support has been so huge in the Comox Valley and beyond, I think we might be able to move into Nanaimo and help out. We have about 300 people we hand out to in Nanaimo. 105 bags went out so far. 25 more will go out this weekend in Nanaimo, but we're going to try to help out there too if we can.
The bags from Puntledge Elementary will be distributed tomorrow and on Monday and Tuesday of next week. And members of CFB Esquimalt have brought the United Way a big step closer to reaching its goal of raising $6 million by the end of this year. The base raised the money through individual donations, canvassing and fundraisers that include head shaves and a charity hockey game with the Victoria Royals. The DND campaign is the largest in the region for the United Way and for the past 8 years has brought in more than $500,000 every year.
We're very fortunate in our job that we get to travel throughout the world, so we have a real perspective on how fortunate we are in Canada. We like to pass that along to the members of our community, and the defence team in Esquimalt has always been very generous.
I think people in the armed services in the Navy understand community, and they understand what it means to support each other and work together as a team. And so I think that's why they can rally around a cause like the United Way.
This year's D&D fundraising efforts brought in $607,000. The money raised will help the United Way support children and families living in poverty and healthy communities. Police in Kelowna say one of the men who is charged with setting a teen on fire may have a history of similar attacks. Earlier this month, an 18-year-old was set on fire after passing out drunk at a house party. Investigators say someone poured liquid on the victim's back, then ignited it, while another person recorded it on video. 2 people are charged with aggravated assault. Both of them remain in custody. RCMP and Nanaimo are upgrading their holding cells in their detachment to meet new standards set by the coroner's office. 12 of the Nanaimo detachment cells are set to be retrofitted early in the new year. During the renovations, prisoners will be moved to Ladysmith. The work's expected to be done by March. The coroner's service has introduced new standards as a result of findings from several inquests.
Every time there's a death in any type of any police cell, whether it be RCMP or municipal police force, there's always a coroner's inquest. And as a result of recommendations that came out of some of the coroner's inquests, some of the materials in the cells are no longer suitable. For instance, our bunks are made out of metal. So the new standards will be they will all be made out of cement with a mattress.
Nearly 3,600 people a year are lodged in the RCMP cells in Nanaimo, but police say safety standards will be just as stringent no matter where they're housed. The city will pay for most of the construction bill, expected to hit $800,000. Diana Krall Plaza in Nanaimo was bustling today as the community came together for the final day of the Moho Food Drive. This is the 5th year of the month-long campaign by Big Boys Toys to fill a motorhome with food. The Moho travels across the Mid-Island region to collect donations of non-perishable food items and cash that goes to the Salvation Army, the Loaves and Fishes Food Bank, and Mid-Island food banks as well.
Every event we do seems to be growing, so we're glad we can help. The need is bigger. We served loaves and fishes one night with the motorhome, and we served some of the people that need it, and it was great just understanding they all have stories, and we're just glad to help.
The weigh-in is tonight, and Big Boys Toys hopes to have at least 15,000 pounds to beat last year's final tally of 11,500.